There are some risks. Now the professional part, like the risks, if you ignore these, your rollout will fail. The very first risk I would like to say here is consent and patient trust. If patients feel secretly recorded, trust collapses. There is research specifically exploring how patients and clinicians navigate informed consent for ambient documentation. Second risk, I would like to say hallucinations or inaccuracies in notes. Generative AI can write something that sounds right but is wrong. Even small inaccuracies in a medical record can cause downstream harm. And another risk I can say here is privacy plus vendor exposure. Audio or transcripts may be sensitive data. If handled incorrectly, you can trigger legal exposure and reputation damage. There have already been legal debates and cases reported around ambient scribe recording and consent. Another risk I would like to say here is security plus access control. Where is audio stored? Where is transcript stored? Who can access it? What is the retention policy? These questions can be raised. And the final risk I can add on is workflow mismatch. If the tool adds clicks, requires consent corrections, or breaks consult flow, clinicians abandon it. Now it's time to explain about how it can be implementations done, like a checklist from A to Z perspective. Here is the deployment checklist I use as a digital health consultant. First one, define scope, such as which departments first. Examples start with low complexity like OPD follow-ups, stable clinics, and then which note types that they require, for example SOAPs, progress notes, discharge summaries. And the second step is consent plus signage plus scripts. Build a simple consent script staff can say in 10 seconds. And the other one say provide opt-out path like manual notes. Third step is data governance. We need to make sure audio retention, for example, yes or no, if yes, how long, and then transcript retention and audio logs, and then vendor contract plus data processing agreements that we need to take care of. And the fourth one is security controls. Here we need to think about encryption at rest and in transit, then a role-based access control, storage authentication, incident response plans, and many more. And the fifth stage is quality and safety checks, where we need to think about mandatory clinical review, spot audits, for example random node sampling per week, and then define never acceptable errors such as allergy, medication, diagnosis, and procedures. And the other step is integration, which is a really important one here. Does it fit the electronic health record workflow? Can it push notes as draft with proper audit trials? Are some questions that we need to think about in this stage. And the next stage is training. For example, 30-minute training is not enough. Do supervised sessions, that's a recommendation from us. And the other one is teach clinicians how to edit quickly and safely. And the final stage I would like to say is measure outcomes, where documentation time, for example on shift versus after hours, note error rates or correction rates, clinical satisfactions or clinician satisfactions, and then patient satisfaction is also necessary here. Finally, we need to think about the adoption rate by the departments. HIPAA guidance exists for remote communications or telehealth privacy and security expectations, while it isn't ambient scribe specific. It signals the standard mindset for protected health information handling. If you are in low and middle income countries such as in Sri Lanka, your key question becomes connectivity stability, device availability, local hosting needs, and compliance with local data protection requirements. For example, in Sri Lanka's personal data protection framework is already in force, so governance is not optional. Finally, I would like to say some takeaways, especially some 5 key takeaways. First one, Ambient Scribes reduces documentation burden only with good workflow design. Second one, human review in the safety log. Third one, consent and trust matter as much as accuracy. Fourth one, governance and security must be designed before rollout. And finally, measure outcomes, don't assume success.